From The Day the Dancers Came by Bienvenido N. Santos. When Phil arrived at the Hamilton, it seemed to him the Philippine dancers had taken over the hotel. They were all over the lobby on the mezzanine, talking in groups animatedly, their teeth sparkling as they laughed, their eyes disappearing in mere slits of light. Some of the girls wore their black hair long. For a moment, the sight seemed too much for him, who had all but forgotten how beautiful Philippine girls were. He wanted to look away, but their loveliness held him. He must do something, close his eyes perhaps. As he did so, their laughter came to him like a breeze murmurous with sounds native to his land. His lips formed the words he was trying to phrase in his mind. Ilocano ka? Bicol? Ano na, paisano? Kumusta? Or should he introduce himself? How? For what he wanted to say, the words didn't come too easily. They were unfamiliar. They stumbled and broke on his lips into a jumble of incoherence. Suddenly he felt as if he was in the center of a group where he was not welcome. All the things he had been trying to hide now showed. The age in his face, his horny hands. He knew it the instant he wanted to shake hands with the first boy who had drawn close to him, smiling and friendly. Phil put his hands in his pocket. Phil wanted to leave, but he seemed caught up in the tangle of moving bodies that merged and broke in a fluid stranglehold. Everybody was talking, mostly in English. Once in a while, he heard exclamations in the dialect right out of the past, conjuring up playtime, long shadows of evening on the plaza, barrio fiestas, misa di gallo. Time was passing, and he had yet to talk to someone. Suppose he stood on a chair and addressed them in the manner of his flamboyant speeches recorded in his magic sound mirror. Beloved countrymen, lovely children of the Pearl of the Orient Seas, listen to me. I'm Phil Akayan. I've come to volunteer my services. I'm yours to command, your servant. Tell me where you wish to go, what you want to see in Chicago. I know every foot of the Lakeshore Drive, all the gardens and the parks, the museums, the huge department stores, the planetarium. Let me be your guide. That's what I'm offering you, a free tour of Chicago. And finally, dinner at my apartment on West Sheridan Road. Pork adobo and chicken relleno, name your dish. How about it, paisanos? No, that would be a foolish thing to do. They would laugh at him. He felt a dryness in his throat. He was sweating. As he wiped his face with a handkerchief, he bumped against a slim, short girl who quite gracefully stepped aside, and for a moment he thought he would swoon in the perfume that enveloped him. It was fragrance long forgotten, essence of Kamya, of Ilang-Ilang, and Dama de Noche. Two boys with sleek pomaded hair were sitting near an empty chair. He sat down and said in the dialect, May I invite you to my apartment? The boys stood up saying, Excuse us, please, and walked away. Phil mopped his brow, but instead of getting discouraged, he grew bolder as though he had moved one step beyond shame. Approaching another group, he repeated his invitation, and a girl with a mole on her upper lip said, Thank you, but we have no time. As he turned towards another group, he felt their eyes on his back. Another boy drifted towards him, but as soon as he began to speak, the boy said, Pardon, please, and moved away. They were always moving away. As if by common consent they had decided to avoid him, ignore his presence. Perhaps it was not their fault. They must have been instructed to do so. Or was it his looks that kept them away? The thought was a sharpness inside him. After a while, as he wandered about the mezzanine among the dancers but alone, he noticed that they had begun to leave. Some had crowded noisily into the two elevators. He followed the others going down the stairs. Through the glass doors, he saw them getting into a bus parked beside the subway entrance on Dearborn. The snow had stopped falling. It was melting fast in the sun and turning into slush. As he moved about aimlessly, Phil felt someone touch him on the sleeve. It was one of the dancers, a mere boy, tall and thin, who was saying, "Excuse me, please." Phil realized he was in the way between another boy with a camera and a group posing in front of the hotel. "Sorry," Phil said, jumping away awkwardly. The crowd burst out laughing. Then everything became a blur in his eyes, a moving picture out of focus. But gradually the figures cleared. There was mud on the pavement on which the dancers stood posing, and the sun threw shadows at their feet. "Let them have fun," he said to himself. "They're young and away from home. I have no business messing up their schedule, forcing my company on them." He watched the dancers till the last of them was on the bus. The voices came to him above the traffic sounds. They waved their hands and smiled towards him as the bus started. Phil raised his hand to wave back, but stopped quickly, aborting the gesture. He turned to look behind him at whomever the dancers were waving their hands to. There was no one there except his own reflection in the glass door, a double exposure of himself, and a giant plant with its thorny branches around him like arms in a loving embrace.